Can you hear me, Nancy? She can't hear me. It's a little louder. Can you hear me now? Okay. Who all has Facebook? Okay. How many friends do you have, Nancy? Give me just an idea. 180? Okay. How many friends do you have, Tony? 10? That's a good number. How many friends do you have, Sabrina?
I don't have Facebook.
How about you, Ramiro? How about you, Junior? How many friends do you have on Facebook?
My friends?
Yeah?
None.
Why do you have Facebook?
I got family.
Well, how much family do you have? 50. Already have Facebook? Vincent? My love. How many friends do you have? 700? That's a big number. I gotta check that one. We'll talk later. I thought that was, I didn't know you had 700. Now the question is, where are they? So, 700 already didn't have it. I'm sorry, Ben, how many friends do you have?
Probably like around the same much as possible.
700. So we have 100 seats and right around 1,600 people here. 1,600 people. Now, the reason I say that is, if you have an empty chair next to you, ask yourself why. See, today we're going to talk about faith and what faith really is. How do we actually function as a faithful people? Now, some people say, well, it's reading the Bible, going to church, or doing good works. Some people say it's just believing. I believe, so I'm faithful. But see, faith, as found in my dictionary, is a complete trust or confidence in something or someone. But to trust someone or have confidence in them or something, it has to be interactive. Because you can't have confidence in that chair. You can believe it's not going to break. You can't have faith in that chair because it's just a chair. But you have to have an understanding that the reciprocal value from that chair, or the person next to you, or whatever you want to believe in, is going to add value to who you are as a person and entity. So, when I talk about faith, I go with Nelson Bible Dictionary. And the word, it says the words faith and belief are similar words. It's defined as a belief in our confident attitude toward God, involving commitment to His will for one's life. He also says belief is to place one's trust in God's truth. The word belief in Greek is pistis, which means confidence or trust that God will see you through. Now we all know Abraham, his story of being how God made him a promise, and then God, for that promise, asked him for something to prove his faith. Sacrifice of his son. That was active faith. Active faith. So now, when we say active faith, what does that mean? Faith is not just a noun, it's a verb. Because we always say without works you're not taking heaven. But does faith take you to heaven? Does faith take you to heaven? Believing in God is getting you to heaven. Now listen to me for a second. Believing in God is getting you to heaven. I know Paul says it does. But let's ask ourselves a question. What was Paul's faith? I'll give you a different way of saying it. Let's say a junior comes in, he's hungry, he's dirty, and he's tired. And I look at him and say, God bless you, brother, see you tomorrow. And I leave. Am I being faithful? But why not? I'm believing in my God. I gave him a blessing. He was born. You take him out of the church. Didn't tell him to leave. Now, if I left when he's still in the same condition, am I being faithful? See, faith is not about words, scripture, and presence in church. It is active.
Right, right.
So we were supposed to take him home, feed him, bathe him, and make him know that God is real.
That's right.
By action. Faithful action. So when we think about this, let's go to Acts 16:5. Everyone has a Bible? Does everyone have a Bible? You have a Bible? You might? Give everyone a Bible? Give everyone else a Bible. We know you have one. Anyone else need a Bible? Thank you, John. Mike. He's ushering for you. Tell him thank you. No. John, tell him thank you. Because while you were resting, Johnny got up and ushered for you. Okay, everyone have a Bible? Okay, let's go to Acts 16:5. Acts 16:5. Now, Acts 16:5, is everyone there? It says, so the churches were being strengthened in faith and were increasing in numbers daily. So the churches were being strengthened in faith and were increasing in numbers daily. Now, the New Living Translation says, so the churches were strengthened in their faith and grew larger every day. English Standard says, so the churches were strengthened in faith and they increased in numbers daily. Berean Study Bible says, so the churches were strengthened in faith and grew daily in numbers. Daily in numbers. New American Standard, so the churches were being strengthened in faith and were increasing in numbers daily. And if you go to any other one, the one word that is continuous and consistent in all those things is daily. See, faith isn't just on Sunday.
Right.
See, religion is on Sunday. We come to church, sit around, talk, laugh, giggle, we leave. But where's your faith? See, faith is also Monday through Saturday.
Right.
Because that's when you build your church. Not on Sunday you come in and see who might be coming to church or who didn't come, but who you're bringing from working with them through Monday and through Saturday.
Right.
So when you look around your church, you say and you ask yourself, have I been faithful? And I know we're all thinking, well, that's the pastor's job. Well, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a history lesson on churches in my life in particular. See, I grew up in a family of preachers. So, bring me a hand here. Right behind you. I don't like standing still. Is it on? Thank you, Tim. All right. Turn this up a little bit. All right, now, this is one I want you guys to think about this. If we go back to, say, the 1970s, how old is everyone? Everyone that's between 30 and 40, raise your hand. 30 and 40, raise your hand. Okay, now, 25 and 30. 40 and 60. Okay, so let's go back to, let's say the mid 80s to mid 90s. Now we're going to have a correlation here, so you got to listen. So now we go from the mid 80s to mid 90s. The church was designed like this. If you were in a church, you had the church elders who fill the front rows, right? church mothers, church fathers, deacons. Then you might have had the backups of the church mothers who were about 65, who were going to be church mothers when the 80-year-old church mother quit, right? And she got tired. She finally stopped coming to church. She take off her white cape and she give it to the next person, right? Then we had the mature Christians, right? We were the ones from 30 to 50. And our job was to support the youth or the young Christians, right? Now, the elders supported the pastor. They were his roadblock. They were his intermitter. They were the ones who said, okay, you have an issue we need to deal with. You have one, we'll put you in line, put you on this, put you on this. You don't have much that's serious, so I'll deal with you, right? And if you're younger, I'm going to send you over to a mature Christian. Then there was the youth. The youth were the engine of the church. They were the choir. They did all the fundraisers. They kicked up all the chairs to the church. Anything that needed done that was manual labor was done by youth. But it was administered by the mature Christians who were instructed and directed by the elders. But what happened is, alongside those times in our communities, mostly minority communities, was crack cocaine, heroin, and crystal. So when the elders passed away, they were being mothers to their great-grandchildren and grandchildren. The mothers and fathers who had lost their way were no longer the mature Christian in the church. So it reversed, and the young Christian became the mature Christian. The elder was gone, so now the pastor's job was to build the church, to go and take care of everybody, work, and also suffer for the congregation. The youth were now the mature Christians, and their jobs were to deal with everything going on in the church that needed to happen to keep the church running. Well, what happened to the children? Well, the children didn't get the attention they needed because the youth couldn't manage the children and the functions of the church. That mature Christian who could instruct that youth to go and help those children was no longer there. So they forgot how to actually build the church from within. That being the case, we ended up with a gap that caused us to lose all the chairs. Now you might say, no. People left because they were mad. They left because they didn't like what the rest of the church was going in, and so on. But ask yourself a question. If you bring 5, how can 2 that leave matter? If you bring 2, how can 1 leave matter? The church is cyclical, with the core maintaining and sustaining the life of the body in the church. So if we were doing our job of strengthening our faith in our church, we would challenge the world to come in and visit outside. Not wait for a pastor and then complain and talk about who's leaving. We'd say, God bless you, wish you all the best, the hope works out over there. Oh, by the way, this is my new friend who's coming to church as well. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Because if we're faithful Christians, that's one of our responsibilities, right? So then, let's go to Ephesians 4 and 13 through 16. And I want to read this to you. And from that bit of a conversation, I want to challenge you on a couple of things. Are you ready? Ephesians 4, verses 13 through 16. You good, Jimmy? You good? Okay. Until we all attain to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a mature man, to the measure of the stature which belongs to the fullness of Christ. As a result, we are no longer to be children, tossed here and there by waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by the trickery of men, by craftiness and deceitful scheming, but speaking the truth of love, we are to grow up in all aspects in Him who is the head, even Christ, from whom the whole body, being fitted and held together by what every joint supplies, according to the proper working of each individual part causes the growth of the body for the building up of itself in love. Each individual joint has a responsibility to strengthen and grow the church. That's what the body is. If you have one finger, what would you do with it? But 5 fingers combined, you can grasp, turn, twist, and many other things you'd like to do with that hand. The challenge is, how do we get each individual and each joint to actually be active in their faith? Now, we go to John 1:16, you don't have to go to it, but from his fullness we all have received grace upon grace. John 6:69, we believe and know that you are the Holy One of God. Corinthians 2:6, among the mature, however, we speak a message of wisdom, but not the wisdom of this age or of the rulers of this age, but who are coming to nothing. Corinthians, brothers, stop thinking like children. In regard to evil, be infants, but in your thinking be mature. Galatians 4:19, my children, for whom I am again in the pain of childbirth till Christ is formed in you. Ephesians 1:17, and asking that God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the glorious Father, may give you a spirit of wisdom and revelation in your knowledge of him. Ephesians 1:23, which is his body, the fullness of him who fills all in all, with diligence to preserve the unity of the Spirit through his bonds of peace. Now that is just for 4:13, Ephesians 4:13. Now, if he's saying to us, grow strong, be more and live in excellence in God's strength, how do we now turn around and say we're not responsible for being strong and strengthened and building our church? There's no way we can look at that and say, well, no, that has a different meaning for me. You see, the Word of God is not about you. It's about truth. And if it's about truth, you believe the truth, then where are you? And why are your seats next to yours? Now, you can look at it and say, well, you know what? My friends are busy. Or maybe it's that you're busy Monday through Saturday and don't take time to show them the value of what you believe, or where your faith is and where it comes from. So, in looking at strength first, we say, how do we strengthen our resolve in being faithful every day, not just in church on Sunday? Because it truly is easy to come to church, give pleasantries, and walk back out and say, I've done my part. Filling the seats here with your own body with no one else around you is not doing your part. It just isn't. That is just doing enough. That's just saying, I'm being religious. And I'll give you a different way of looking at it. Let's go through this first. Let's go to now verse 14. Then we will no longer be infants, tossed about by the waves and carried around by every wind of teaching and by the clever cunning of men and their deceitful scheming. What does that mean? We're not about feelings.
Come on.
Are you there? Okay. We're not about feelings.
Right.
We're not about not engaging. It's not about being emotional and saying, I don't like that preacher today, I'm going to go somewhere else tomorrow. It's about being faithful to your church. Not being wishy-washy. Not being taking things personal and saying, I don't like what he said this week because he said it was pointing directly to me. It's, I'm staying in my faith and understanding that the word is the word. And whatever it says to me is because it speaks to me because of how I behaved or not. How I've lived in my faith or I have not. It's not about the message. It's about the message's value to you as a Christian, not as an individual. Because being a Christian, and I take that back, not being a Christian, but being Christians means that we are concerned more about the body than just ourselves.
Amen.
You see, I do a lot with the men in the home, and I always ask the question, why do you have to be asked to do more? Makes no sense to me. You do what needs to be done because that's your responsibility. And I gave an analogy to the guys. I said, tell you what, you go to work, you decide to take a break. Well, you know what, I'm not going to work for 2 weeks. Why? I don't feel like it. I got things to do. I'm too busy. Okay. When you come back to work, what's going to happen? So how is that different from working for God? How is your faith less valuable than your dog? How can you live to chase around a supervisor hoping for a promotion rather than in your faith in getting that promotion through your faith? So which one do you have more belief in? Your faith or a man? Because if you can follow that man around and chase him around his job and do whatever that man wants you to do, work hard as you can, make sure he's saving money, he's making money, and he's always there. You're always there when he needs you. You're nice to coworkers. You're engaging. You're a partner. You want to help. You make sure you're always on point. But when you come to church, listen, I got an hour and I got to go. You know what? I'm having man problems. I'm having women problems. You know what? My car, I need to get my car painted this week. I'm not going to pay my time. Why is that okay? How do you say you value yourselves, your faith, and your belief if you cannot even put it forward as a man? And the second question is this: what are you teaching your children? How are you affecting lives that you're not touching because you're so busy being busy about nothing other than God? And then you want to say, but no, that's not what it is. See, life happens every day. It does happen every day. Happens every day. And so does God. And faith is not based on your convenience. It's kind of like prayer. My wife and I have this going commentary because she says, I have a time of prayer. She'll pray in the morning. She'll pray for a straight hour. Sits down. She's going in tongues. She's doing her thing. Kids come downstairs looking. Oh my God, is she all right? No, they want to sit down. Then they end up praying with her. You know, my son asked one day, he said, Dad, I've never come downstairs and pray. I said, we had this conversation. I pray all day, every day. All day, every day. I have a running conversation. See, you don't know much about me, but I used to have a really, 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 really bad temper. I believe that men should be held to a higher account. So if a man did not like a man, I was more apt to hit him in the face and help him correct himself than say to him, hey brother, listen, that's the wrong thing. Because in my belief, if you say you're a man, you know what the wrong thing is. So you deserve this was necessary when you're not behaving properly as a man. My mother was beat every day with my father. So I grew up hating men who touched women. I could be driving down the street. If I saw you hit your woman, I don't care what she did to you. I'm coming to see you, not to talk. I'm going to give you what you gave her to show you how that felt. Because I had no control over the impulse to do what I felt I wanted to do, what I thought was right. Then I had to grow and understand that that wasn't my place. That I had to find that conversation again that I lost. Because you see, you lose that conversation. See, when you start getting too busy to be busy, you lose that conversation and that connection.
That's right.
But see, I can't pray just in the morning. It doesn't work for Ken. Ken has to pray all day. Because Ken knows that Ken needs that connection continuous. So when I'm here, people always say, he's always the same, never upset, never screams, never yells. I'm always praying. See, my connection keeps me level. And that's why when I hear people talk to me and I say, how can I help you? Well, let's spend some time together. Let's have a conversation. I don't get outside myself to stay connected to my conversation continuously. The funny thing about staying connected to your conversation is you start growing and believing in the conversation. You trust and understand that that conversation that's continuous also has a value.
Right.
And that value is you stop growing. It's another thing wife and I we joke about since I met her. I told her I don't worry, never worry in my life. I don't worry. Not about money, not about my life, not about my safety, not about my health. I don't worry. I know the plan because I bought into it. I've embraced it and understand it, and I accept the terms of our agreement. See, we have an agreement in faith, in service, and in love. Always believing in hope and understanding that sometimes that hope is painful. Sometimes he might say, you know what, you need a whooping today. I gotta take that. He might say I need a whooping for 2 or 3 years. I've had times where I've been whooped for 7 years straight. And anyone that knows it will say, you know what, he never complains. No matter what happens in that period. Because you understand that discipline is because of something you didn't do that you were supposed to do.
Right.
You fell out of your conversation. You forgot the value. And you began to think that you're the one making all happen. So now, let me help you get back right.
Come on.
Give you the option to say, this discipline is not his doing, it's my not doing.
That's right.
So you got to find that voice again. So you see, when we talk about faith, and we talk about how we help our church, you can't be faithful if you don't know how to be faithful to yourself in your relationship with God. That hour you want to pray is like that hour coming to church. And I'm not talking about my wife now, so don't get it twisted. See, you pray for that hour, from church that hour, and you're good. But Monday through Saturday, it's all about you. I got kids, I got a job, I got partners, I got to go to the bar, I got to hang out with here, I got to do this, I got to go car wash. But wait a minute. If you go to that bar, get your car washed, get in that wreck, you gonna call that bartender, you're gonna pray to God. See, it's all connected.
Right.
Because before you got that car, able to go to that bar, get that car washed, you were in a space where you needed his help, whether you knew it or not. I had a conversation recently with a person, and I said to him, I said, you know, I always wonder how, when things are good, we can see 2 feet in front of us and we're all right. But we never want to look back and see where we came from and how we got there. So you go through a challenge or a change, you forget your responsibility to the church, to your God, and to yourselves, and most importantly to your family, because now you're all right. Then when it happens again, you don't look back. You look right here and say, oh, God left me. My church ain't doing for me. My pastor's not giving me enough time. Why? Where has your faith been active? Where have you given time to your faith? When have you invested in your brothers and sisters? When have you said to yourselves, today is the day I'm coming home for real? And to me, home is to God, to fellowship, and to my responsibility of church. See, not church and religion. See, that's the thing. I'll give you another example. Let's look at it like this. Let's say Sheila meets Vincent. Lord have mercy, that man's fine. I'm gonna marry that man. And then Vincent says, I'm gonna get a second job just in case. I said, man, just in case what? Just in case she needs some money. I said, well, you need a second job. You don't need one, but in case you just met her. Man, listen, I know she's the one. If she needs fingernails done, I'm getting them done. If she needs a car, I'm getting a car. I'm gonna get ready just in case. So now, Sheila say, no, I'm not the boy likes to eat. I'm cooking every day. Girl, I can't cook a lick. I'm gonna cook book. I'm gonna call my mom. We're gonna find a way. We're gonna make a way for me to learn how to cook for this man. Right? So you are in love and happy, and you want that man to be your husband. He's looking at you and saying, that's the one. That's my girl. So, oh my Lord, that's the one. Now, how much do you do to get that person into your life and keep them? See, relationships are funny. You start out like kissy poo, I love you. We still do that, but it's different. But see, the thing is this: you work hard for that relationship. You do whatever it takes to be that one. Your hope and belief is that he will marry you, and his is the same for you. What's the difference in the church and your relationship?
Right.
Why are you not having that old same desire? You know what? I can't tie this month to get a second job. I'm gonna sell candy on the side. Whatever I gotta do to meet my time and responsibility, because that's my responsibility. Oh, we have a backpack giveaway. I'm on that list. In fact, I'm going on this twice, make sure we got everything covered. Or do we say, oh, they got it. They don't need me. I got things to do this weekend. See, that's the difference in being faithful and being justified in faith. Because y'all say, well, we're justified in faith. We believe in Jesus, we're justified. But that's just having faith. Where are you being faithful? See, I know we talk about, oh, well, Galatians, I think 2:16 says, oh, well, works do not give me any heaven, but faith does, and I have faith, so I'm fine. What about James? What about James? What did he say? Did he say your faith gets you in heaven because you have faith? Or did he actually be faithful? Did he say to you, you don't get to say I believe and do nothing else?
Right.
You don't get to say Jesus did the work and I don't have to do anything else. No, that's not what he said. Now, you can say Paul said, well, no. Jesus carried everything for us. But Paul didn't sit around and say, Jesus did, I'm going to sit down now. Jesus did everything. Because we did, we have church right now.
Right.
Paul said he's going to work to his dying day.
Right.
Not because his works would get him into heaven, but because he was faithful to believe that the Son of Man walked the earth and he died for our sins.
Amen.
So what makes us different? What makes us say, let's let the church die? So what? I was telling my wife that there was a statistic that there are 143,000 churches opened every year. This is the biggest year ever. Almost 400,000 churches open. How many stay open a year from now? 2%. 2%. How many churches are dying or dead that were open last year? A whole bunch of them. See, people think that churches need their money, but not their time. The churches need them in a seat, but no one next to them. I was at a conference this week, and I heard this bishop was saying that we don't care about numbers. Numbers matter, but that's not what we're focused on. We're focused on how are we interacting and connecting and working together as a body. How are we saying to our church, let me do more, or let me do anything? How are we bringing our children up and making a requirement that the church is accountable to how I help me raise my children? But are we as parents Monday through Saturday raising our children in the same way? Are we committing ourselves to consistency? So when our children look at us, they say, you know what? She's not joking around. But better yet, you know what? He's not joking around. See, men large part of the problem. Because we've forgotten who the covenant was with.
Right.
Men. No, we can say, oh, well, you know what? I don't have kids, but you do. Because you live. And there's something you can tell the young man to make him a better man.
That's right.
About your life. It makes him want to come to church. About what your faith has done for you. Not your testimony. But sometimes it's just about your strength. Who you are and what's made you who you are. And why it's important that connection, stays magical. You know, I used to go to my office and I told it all the time, listen, make something magical happen today. And he's asking me, he said, Ken, what do you mean? I say, believe. Whether you are a garbage man, whether you are a waiter, anywhere I went, I'd say, be magical.
Amen.
Because if your connection is there, magic happens.
Right.
In another direction in life, I say quite a bit. I do not ever worry about where I go and where I end up. Because once I'm there, it is my responsibility to take the opportunity he's given me to send me there, put me there, place me there, and grow it. We were in another conference, and a gentleman talked about how God created the heavens and earth, and how he then created Adam from him. Now, we call God the creator, and that's where we come from. So are we not creators?
That's right.
So how can you tell me that every Sunday, out of 6 days of the prior week, we don't invite anyone to church because we don't know anybody? On top of that, how do we go to a church and say, wherever the church is going through is not my problem? Let's just be creators of solutions. You should be problem solvers. You should be investors in the future, the growth, and the legacy of your faith.
Amen.
If you're being faithful. If you're not being faithful, and you're just being religious, doesn't apply to you. Mark you off the list. Okay. Religious, faithful, okay. Religious, okay. That's good. So we know which ones are which. But you can't walk in here and say, I'm faithful, if it's not a verb, if it is not active, if it is not a space where you're going to that is focused strictly on your neighbor. If you don't look at your chair and say, well, that's 2 chairs, then we bring 2 people to church next week. So we don't go ask 10 people to come to church. Got a purpose in church to get into it. Or are you going to say, you know what? I'm doing all I can do to get here on Sunday, so I can't do that. Okay. But if you're being religious, be religious, but don't be righteous. That means don't come to church and play with the Bible. Act like you really are in your word. And come to the altar and act like you really want to be prayed for. Because if you're asking to be prayed for, you should be praying for somebody. If you're asking to be prayed for, you should be praying for somebody. You see, ask and answer. Give and receive.
Yes.
What's the word they use in the legal circle? What is it? Quid pro quo. It's always give and take. Conversation. Connection. That means there's 2 ends.
Right.
Flowing playing one another,
That's right.
interacting, invested. See, that's why I don't worry. I often say to people about politics, I say, listen, you walk around and you vote. Do you realize that what you're voting for is not for you? See, the trick of the media is this. He's going to give you a tax break. No. Because who's going to pay for that tax break? Your children. So every action that you take as a parent, as an adult, as an active Christian, will affect the ones coming up behind you, not you.
Amen.
If you don't practice your faithfulness in your church, and your church goes away, that's your legacy, not the church's. Not about a building,
That's right.
not about a name.
That's right.
It's about the people that are in it.
Amen.
You see, being faithful to your church means I want to make sure he has a home to come to. I want to make sure she can bring her children to a home where the children are going to be loved and cared for, respected, and listened to, no matter their challenge or issue. That is your legacy. It's not, I'm coming on Sunday for an hour, going, oh, I'm good, I've been faithful. It's not being faithful. Now, I'm gonna skip a little bit, and I'm gonna go down to this last thing I want to share with you guys, because for me it's something that's dear to my heart. Corinthians 15:58. Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 15:58. I want you to hear this. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in your labor, the Lord is not in vain. And the Lord is not in vain. Now, in my version it says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your toil is not in vain in the Lord.
Amen.
Proverbs says, connected to that, will say, he who pursues righteousness and loving devotion finds life, righteousness, and honor. 1 Corinthians 16:10 says, if Timothy comes, see to it that he has nothing to fear while he is with you, for he is doing the Lord's work just as I am. 2 Peter 3:14 says, therefore, beloved, as you anticipate these things, make effort to be found at peace with him without spot or blemish. 2 Corinthians 7:1, having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of God. 2 Peter 1:4-9 says, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. 2 Peter 3:14 says, wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless.
Amen.
If we look at these things, let's understand that in the Old Testament, no one was writing for one person. It was writing God's word.
Right.
In the New Testament, they're writing about the life of Jesus. Isn't it amazing how it connects to the same thing that they're writing about in the Old Testament?
Come on.
See, the responsibility the requirement of connection, the requirement of faithfulness doesn't change,
That's right.
whether New or Old Testament.
That's right.
Jesus will tell you, you know what? We don't need you to come. I heard a guy was talking about how Jesus hated crowds. He didn't run from them.
Right.
He wanted them. What was the Great Commission? He said he didn't like crowds because he said, touch the entire world and bring them in. All these things are pointing to one simple fact. We, as believers, who are faithful in our belief, have a responsibility, not just to ourselves,
Come on.
not just to what what people see us doing, but what we are actually doing. How we are saying to ourselves, this is not about me.
That's right.
I'm building my child a legacy of faithfulness, consistency, and a presence and a space that he will be able to go to with his children when I'm gone.
Amen.
Not, you know what, I'm going to be wishy-washy. I'm going to be tossed to and fro. I'm going to go to The Rock this week. I'm going to go to Greater Hope next week. I'm going to go, because that church is leaving anyway. You know, it's, I'm going to make sure this church is here when my child turns 18. Because I am going to be faithful.
Amen.
Faithful in my responsibility, not to the church, but to my Lord.
Amen.
And that is why I ask you, are you faithful? Or are you just the person that says, I have faith? And if you are, what makes you any more or any less religious than the person that comes to church on Sunday, Easter, on Christmas? Because the family don't be, I gotta show up. I'm just showing up, just coming on Sunday and doing nothing else. Is that truly how you find your connection to God?
Amen.
How you are able to go into his arms and be warm and comforted. How you can actually see the power of his blessing on your life. Through his acts that flow in and out of you because of your belief in your faith and your faithfulness to the commission of Jesus Christ to build his church, not to sit in it. Church building goes on Monday through Saturday. The results of that church building come to you on Sunday when you see the fruit. Like a farmer. You plant and then you sow. You want your seeds grow. But first you have to plant them, water them, turn the soil. Because without the work, there will be no result. You can't be coming to church just on Sunday. You can't come and ask for prayer one day a week if you're not praying every day. You can't ask for blessing if you are not blessing the people around you with your faithfulness, with your willingness to share your good news, what your God has done for you. And like a magnet, you draw them to you, into your church. With that, we're going to pray. Let's bow our heads. Father God, I ask you to give strength to this information and message. Let us not take it personal, but take it privately personal. to challenge ourselves in our faith. Understand that God's asked us not that we just have faith, but that we're faithful to his word. And if we believe the word of God is alive and our God is not dead, that means we believe in an active faithfulness. That means that we, as a body, will fight hard, not only to get through each week, but fight hard to grow and strengthen, to love and embrace, to bring in and grow with, to walk beside and shine the wonders of your grace. Let everyone here be blessed to get home safe. Let their children through the weeks are blessed, not just on Sunday, not just getting home. We want to make sure that we're blessed in relationship with family, with mother, with father. To have good friends that can talk to you, who are in the body. Maybe not this body, but our body. Whose eyes are on the Lord. I should continue to be a blessing to my wife. Give her strength. Not just in her being the leader of a church, but in being my partner in helping me. Pray for Pastor Arden and all the things he's going through. Strengthen him. Let him understand that what he's gone through is irrelevant to what he can accomplish. He looks past what he's gone through and forward to what you have planned for him. As to all in the church, pull strength from the past, but don't get stuck in it. See value and grace in what can be. The probabilities of faith, not the possibility of warning. The strength of your word and the promise you've always made. That by me, through me, all things are possible. He who believes in me have everlasting life. And life means living. Life means abundance, growth, strength. Life means the continuation of their legacy. In Jesus' name. All the saints in all prayer fast, mark the Lord, their extended families and their friends, and in all things, in all communication, and all grace. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.